Hello everyone. This is going to serve as the critique for the Oklahoma State 4-H and FFA livestock judging contest here in 2021. So we're going to get started. First we have Cheyenne McWhirter that's going to talk our pig classes and give the officials.
Hi everyone, as he said, my name's Cheyenne McWhirter. I'm going to go ahead and start with Class 1 market hogs. In that class we had two crossbred gilts that were chromed up and two Yorkshire appearing gilts. The placings on that class were 1, 2, 4, 3, cuts of 3, 2, and 4. We thought the middle got kind of close because they differed in their type and kind. One just had so much more blade shape and power up high. Next I'm going to go on to the commercial gilts. Class 2 was placed 1, 3, 4, 2, cuts of 2, 6, and 4. In this class we had one that needed to start, there was a pair of females up top that needed to sort up. They were both so good in terms of their build. They had a lot of shape, and yet the one that wins is just so stout and wide everywhere. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk.
Real quick, I'm going to jump in there. We did make an alteration to the gilt cuts. The placing was 1, 3, 4, 2, and we cut it 2, 4, and 4. Okay, so just to make it, go ahead though with the keep coal gilts.
Okay, and so on the keep coal class, I'm going to go ahead and tell you how many points you get on which ones you keep. On 1, if you kept her, you get 0 points. On 2, you get 18 points. 3, you get 16 points. 4, you get 1 point. 5, you get 1 point. 6, you get 8 points. 7, you get 5. And 10, and you get 10 points if you keep 8. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. So go ahead and we'll send in. We'll move on to the sheep and goat. But just to follow up on those Yorkshire gilts, it was a nice class, and there were 2 real obvious keeps and 2 real obvious culls, and then some gilts in the middle you had to sort through, but the data definitely helps. So we're going to move on to the Dorset breeding ewes, or Class 3, and we have Connor Vernon to talk about those. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so walking up to the Dorset ewe class, we thought it was pretty straightforward in covering your ends. So when we walk up to that class, we initially found the 1 ewe, and I think she checked all the boxes in terms of a good brood ewe, sound, good rib, feminine look, and just looks good on the move. So we decided to lead off with her. And then from there, we decided bottom 3. When we study that 3 ewe, I think she just lacks the build and body to be a good brood ewe, but she does have some femininity up front, and it's got a little bit of stoutness and feature down low in footwork, but unfortunately, we just rolled her to the bottom. And then we're left with a middle pair between 2 and 4. And I personally favor that 2 ewe. When we study her at the ground, I think she's more opened up. Study her up high, she's better about her rib shape and muscle content. It still gives you a feminine sound look on the go. And then that 4 ewe that comes in third, that's a real long bodied, tall shouldered ewe who's really extended, but she just needs a little bit more stoutness down low, body shape, and width from behind. So the way we place them Dorset ewes, we're 1, 2, 4, 3, cuts of 4, 2, and 4.
All right, well, thank you very much. We're going to move on to next, the market steer class, or Class 4 of the day, which was a reasons class. So this was Class 4 market steers, and we have Tierney Johnson here who's going to talk quickly about those.
Hi everyone. Okay, so I am Tierney Johnson, and I'm going to be talking the crossbred steers. We thought that class was relatively straightforward. That 4 steer, he was just the combination steer who had rib, he had muscle, and he could move. So we cut you 6 if you didn't find him. We followed him up with number 1. That's a shapely, muscular calf in his own right, but he needs to come with more slope to his shoulder, and he needed more rib to be considered practical. So we put him in second. And then on bottom, we thought it got a bit closer. We went ahead and put 3 over 2. That's a steer that had a little bit more shape to him and he could move. And then that steer that we rounded out the class with was number 2. He may have been a little bit bigger pinned, but that's a really coarse, bad moving steer. So we went ahead and marked it 4, 1, 3, 2, and cut you 6, 5, and 2.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Hampshire Weather Dams after this. And so that was a good steer class there, a very elite calf that won the class. Very good. And so we're going to jump back to Connor Vernon here, who's going to talk Class 5 Hampshire Weather Dams, which was reasons.
So I thought a great class that we walked up to. I think there's a really impressive one that wins, and that 2 ewe. When you look at her, I mean, she is robust. She's bold about the top side of her skeleton. She's really wide, massive, got a great rib cage and a good set of running gears on her when she walks around. From there, probably offered a little bit of challenge, but I thought that 3 ewe should sort up on into second. I think she's really athletic in the way she's set together. She's got a good look, got some heaviness of structure, being shaggy legged. Where we want to change that one is probably her hip structure. She kind of rounds out of her hip, and we just want her to get out and go with a little more flex and comfort. And then we got 4 and 1 on the bottom side, and when you look at those two ewes, I think 4 just offers a little bit more in terms of thickness. Study her going away from you. She's wider from hooks and pins and has a better turn to her upper rib shape, with still a long look to her and has a leveler hip. And then you got 1. I think this one's got some neat pieces up front in terms of her blade. She's smoother bladed, taller at the point of her shoulder, offers more extension. But when you study her from there back, I think that's where she falls apart. She wants to round out of her hip. Just needs to drop her belly down into her and get her a bigger rib cage. And I think she could run up. But the way we place that Hampshire ewe class is 2-3, 4-1, cuts of 5, 3, and 3.
All right, well, thank you very much. We'll move on to the breeding does, or the meat goat breeding does, which is class 6. And so Connor's going to talk those as well.
Yeah, so looking at those does, I think there's a really cool one to win in that 3 doe. Talk about one that is cracked open at the base of her skeleton, a real heavy duty doe who's bold about her center body, massive in terms of her pin set and muscularity. I think that's just an easy place to start in that doe. And then from there, we decided to follow her up with 1, who I think's got some cool pieces in terms of athleticism. Say that one on the go, I think that's a smooth-bladed, tall shoulder doe who's really extended and long-bodied. I just wish we could have put a little bit more rib cage and muscle into that one to surface. And then we got 2. Studying 2, that's a real tall, good-looking one on the go, really level about her hip, and just moves with so much ease and comfort. But when you study her in terms of rib and muscle, that's where she lacks. She just needs to be blown apart in her rib cage and just needs to be settled to a more powerful buck. And then we round out the class with that little 4 doe. I think you could appreciate this one for being modern, good body, and got some foot size to her. But ultimately, I just don't think she has enough grow, and you study her on the go, she breaks behind her blade and just needs to be fixed in terms of her structure. So the way we ran that doe class was 3-1, 2-4, cut it 4, 2, and 5.
All right, thanks. Performance Angus Bulls Class 7 will be next here, and this is a reasons class. These were fall bull calves with performance data here. A nice class, but Tyler Sale is going to talk about those real quick here. So go ahead.
So I think first thing you do is walk up to the class and evaluate the bulls immediately. They kind of sort into 2 pairs. In that bottom pair of 1 and 3, you get that 1 bull. Initially, it hits you as having some length and extension. Reads to be pretty correct about his angles. You just keep wondering if there's ever enough there, and I guess in the back of your mind you kind of realize that he doesn't. Then that 3 bull, one that hits you is being pretty masculine and rugged in his look, offers some shape. You say that one on the go though, he gets a little straighter up front. Doesn't really just want to get out and move as well. Gets a little tighter hearted and a little shallower bite than you care to see. Then you get into that top pair of bulls. I think both of them offer some trade-offs. Initially, that 2 bull hits you as one that has some look and has some muscle to him. One that offers a little more boldness or rib. Then you look at that 4 bull, and here's one that really grabs your attention. He's the balanced bull of the class. He's better about his lower joints, reaches out and goes as good as any, and one that you just really find a lot of favor in. And then you look to the paper. I don't think it really tells you to do much any different. We go ahead and cut it, place the class 4, 2, 3, 1, and cuts of 2, 3, and 4.
All right, well, thank you very much. We're going to move on next to the Simmental heifers. We'll have Kane Agater, who's going to come in and talk good class Simmental heifers. Lots of differences here. So quickly, Kane, class 8 Simmental heifers.
As Parker said, my name is Kane Agater. I'm going to be talking Class 8 Simmental heifers, and just referencing what Parker said, a very deep set of females. That class goes as placed 1, 2, 3, 4 with cuts of 2, 3, and 6. You start at the top with that predominantly black 1 heifer, and that's a good built female that's exceptionally deep sided and still level from hooks to pins, while still coming with plenty of rib shape when you get in behind her. But what really sets her apart from the group is when you get her set into motion, she gets out and goes with plenty of flexibility and athleticism off by either end of her skeleton. She's where we started off. Then you come into that white-nosed 2 heifer that has the least amount of white on her head. She's one that's still stout-made, stout-hipped, comes with some extra substance of bone from the ground up. It's just when you get going on the move for her, she just doesn't want to quite reach out of that rear 2 quite as well as the one in front of her. That's just why she fits conveniently into second. You get to the red heifer, the 3 heifer that comes in next. She's one that comes with some growth. She's square up front, and she really gets out and reaches off of that front 1/3. But beyond that, it's just the female that's a little bit shallower bodied, just doesn't quite get out and move with as much flexibility off her rear too. And I'd really like to see her tail head set down into her a little bit better. And as you round out the class there, you have the baldy-ish heifer, the one with the most white on her head. And she's one that's still good built, she's square, and she does move well when you set her into motion, but it's just beyond that. That's the low-performing female who's entirely too flat-sided, narrow-bodied, and just doesn't quite get out with as much stoutness as the ones in front of her. She ends up at the bottom, again, placings 1, 2, 3, 4, cuts of 2, 3, and 6.
All right, next we're going to move on to Class 9, Market Steers Questions. Ryan Callahan, I believe, is up next. And these were black cattle. This is only for the 4-H contestants, and there were questions on that class. So go ahead, Ryan, Class 9.
So we ran Class 9, 3, 4, 2, 1. We kind of thought the fastest thing to do was run that all black 1 steer to the bottom. He was just kind of the tall, hard-bodied, narrow-pinned one that wasn't very good in terms of his structure. And so if you got him off bottom, he cut you 6. After that black mod, or whatever you want to call him, we kind of thought he followed there, and we kind of thought he followed in 3rd. He's one that kind of was pretty good from the side. He offered some balance, but at the end of the day, he was just kind of the frailer boned, bow-legged one that he needed more muscle to get up in that top pair. After that, we thought there was kind of a top pair of steers that were both pretty nice, just in terms of their market fundamentals, where we just decided to use that 3 steer with the white in his chest to start. He was probably just the bigger ribbed, better structured one. And then after that, we put that stocked-legged one in 2nd. He was big-topped and stout-hipped, but he was just kind of the coarse-jointed, straight-shouldered one that probably was a little flatter ribbed.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to the meat goat breeding does Class 10. But before I do that, I'll read off the answers and the questions first here. Sorry for moving around. So the 10 questions we had on Class 1 are these steers are true and false. All 4 calves have white on them. That's false. Between 2 and 4, heavier boned and more shapely. That's 4. Coarsest hock joints. That's 4. Which steer is the narrowest and the lightest muscled? That's number 1. Between the black and white calves, who's the deepest chested? That's 3. Between 3 and 4, who toes straighter up front? That's 3. Who is the biggest framed and most mature? That's 1. Which calf has the coarsest tail head? That's 4. Who am I describing? A moderate, bold ribbed calf that's frail boned and a little plainer shaped? That's 2. Which steer has the best set to his hip and hind leg? And that's number 3. All right, so we're going to move on to the breeding does, Class 10 here. Breeding does, Class 10. All right, so we got Calvin Johnson's going to quickly hit on those. You doing breeding does?
Yep.
All right, go right ahead.
Hey guys, my name's Calvin, like Parker said. I'm going to talk your Class 10 4-H does. We thought that both doe classes came together very well and thought they both offer some logic to them. This class specifically, we thought you should have walked up and found 2 better sheep and then 2 sheep that need to go, does that need to go in the bottom pair. And that's pretty reflective of our middle point cut. But you should find 1 and 3 up top pretty handily. Whenever you compare those 2 does, specifically talking 1 over 3, she's laid back substantially better in the angle to her shoulder. She's leveler out of her hip, and I think that just allows her to balance and come together just a little bit better. The 3 doe, she's got some bones, some skeletal width, and body shape, but truthfully, when you break them down and get her in motion, she offers some structural issues, a little bit forward in that shoulder. Consequently, she's lower about her front end, plus she's round out of her hip and a little straight in that hock. So she falls short from a balance perspective because of those things. So we cut the top pair 4, going 1, 3, and then you shouldn't cross the middle. If so, you're going to get hurt with a 6-point cut. And then you're left with the bottom pair where, quite frankly, there's just more of the 4 doe to beat 2. That doe's plenty extended, long-necked, and neat-fronted, but truthfully, she's a little bit off in her underline balance, a little bit frail about her feature. 2's another extended doe that, maybe plenty flexible when you get her on the go, but still too straight in that shoulder, shallow bodied, plus she was the smallest doe. So The placing for the class 10 does is 1, 3, 4, 2, cuts of 4, 6, and 2.
All right, thank you. We're going to move to the Class 12 Keep Cull Crossbred Weather Dams. And Keep Cull Crossbred Weather Dams. And we're just going to have Calvin just read the points off that were awarded to those used, and I'll make a few comments. It was a very straightforward weather dam Keep Cull class. There was quite a bit of difference in flesh and condition on those sheep, and it really made out where there were only 4 ewes that you could ever consider keeping. And so just reading off the points, go ahead.
Yep. So if you kept the number 8 ewe, you get 18 points. If you kept number 6, you get 19 points. If you kept number 4, you got 8 points. If you kept number 7, you got 5 points. Those are the ewes that you kept. Then your cull ewes, 3, you get 0 points. 5, you also get 0 points. 2, you get 0 points. And if you kept the 1 ewe, you got 1 point.
All right, well, thank you. Yeah, that was a very straightforward one that you needed to keep only those 4, and there was a huge gap there. So we're going to round out things with our last Keep Cull, which is our Keep Cull Angus heifers with performance data. With some short remarks here, Sarah Harris, okay?
Hi guys, so for this operation, making bulls and then marketing bred heifers is the bread and butter. So what we're wanting to do with these females is to find some that are better than breed average in terms of calving ease and growth. Open up the paper and you can see that isolates 3 and 8 in terms of calving ease and 7 in terms of growth figures, and that's not in a good way. Study them some more, and then even though 5 is above breed average in terms of her growth figures, it's not by much. So we're going to go ahead and cull 3, 8, 7, and 5, and we're going to keep 1, 2, 4, and 6. In terms of keeping points, if you kept 1, you keep 8 points, 2, 15 points, 3, 4 points, 4, 10 points, 5, 0 points, 6, 17 points, 7, 1 point, 8, 0 points. Thanks, you guys.
All right, thank you very much. That was a great Keep Cull Angus heifer class with 4 high-quality females. That would have been fun to sort through. Thank you very much for attending the contest today and listening to this critique. Thanks. Bye.